Hey guys, I'm back with Ted, and we're gonna be looking at Steve Berra, Steve Barnacle in Skate-More.
And this is for me, this is like an underappreciated part, or rather, a part that people hate for the wrong reasons, I would say.
Over you know, my last year of content creation, Steve has been like a big influence or inspiration, I guess would be a good word, has been inspiration for me. And on Ted's Instagram page and where he does all of his stuff, you have made some generous points about Steve, or you're like you take like kind of the opposite take than most people, I think, or you try to like give Steve some the benefit of the doubt on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think I started out kind of being a hater, and probably like a very vociferous hater, like outspoken, and I
Yeah.
tried to kind of come up with some principles that I thought that like he wasn't sticking to, and I was like really appalled by this part in particular. But I think I've turned a corner, and I want to watch this part with you to defend this part and to kind
Oh,
of,
okay. All right.
because I think this part's really interesting. It sort of shows a side of professional skateboarding that we don't want to think about and we don't want to talk about, but is like very present. So
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
Also, have you seen this part before?
So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going in blind because I think that that's the best way to do this. I don't want to
Yep.
study this thing. All right.
Exactly.
Here we go.
So I love it. Like any part that starts with the disclaimer is always great.
Yeah.
And here he is saying like this is the last time I'll be able to skate before ankle surgery. Like the previous year, it began with him having an ankle surgery, and then this year begins with him doing a beautiful 360 flip on flat, on real ground.
Look at those boot cut jeans.
Yeah,
Those are
but
good.
okay, it's find a good outfit in this video.
I'm sure that I will. I'll go back and I'm not saying these are super bad. I'm not like incredibly anti boot cut, but I do think that they're pretty funny looking.
Yeah, they definitely are boot cut. And then this.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
All
Here we
right.
go.
Let's look at it
Because it's kind of like, wow, what an incredible spot. A perfect bump
a
to
perfect
this
bump.
long, rather low rail
Yes.
that
Yes.
begins at the bump and extends not like a normal handrail down the stairs,
Right.
following the trajectory of the pedestrian that might use these stairs if this were real,
Yeah.
but goes out flat.
That's exactly what I was looking at. I was like, why the fuck would you make a handrail that didn't descend?
Yeah, unless this was a spot that was made for skating.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about it is like all the I mean, I'm no welding expert, but all the places where there's obviously been welding all looks like brand new. There must have been like a decent budget for this. I mean, we're on the first clip, and like I mean, I know raw materials these days aren't cheap, but this is like just building rails and stuff willy-nilly is not a cheap endeavor.
No, you're right. So like we don't know where this is. It's behind some warehouse. It doesn't exist. It's not a real spot. This was built for his part, and this
Yeah.
is what I want to talk about is like the ethics behind this.
I'd love to talk about that. So, yeah, I mean, this is a good,
Good intro.
yeah, definitely. Front board to fakie.
Look at that fakey big flip.
Okay,
Okay, so this kickflip nose manual,
yeah.
and then
This is a
frontside.
real spot.
Is
That-
it?
Yeah, this spot exists. Tons of people have skated this.
Okay, so but the manual pad.
Oh
didn't
no, but
exist.
obviously the manual pad has been constructed. This is kind of the crux of what is interesting about, the Steve Berra fake spot scandals to me is the lengths at which he will go to disguise what he's doing.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I
this
see.
is like very clearly some just like poorly constructed manual pad.
Does this now play the thing? It says
Mm-hmm.
it's a great kickflip nose manual and a really good frontside flip. I would argue that he has like a Reynolds like frontside
Yeah,
flip.
that frontside flip was pretty fucking good. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
he it just sucked right up into his feet. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty. Yeah, that was real good. There's no question about that. That was like as good as it gets.
Yeah. And I just another thing that I would say like in defense of Berra, this guy started out a, a vert skater.
Uh huh.
And it's so rare that you would have a skater who's like probably like amateur track was like I mean he skated everything, but very few street skaters that have had the impact that Berra's had started out skating vert. So he had to sort of like transition from like vert guy in the early 90s to like legitimate street pro, and I would say he's like a fucking legitimate street pro, you know?
Sure. Nobody has a problem if it's like day one or if it's Rodney, if they were to do like a milk crate manual pad. But I
Yeah.
guess within the context of this, then people would like probably have more of an issue with it. My thing with this clip is what like it was completely fucking unnecessary. I feel like to add this manual pad into a gap spot before. It seems like kind of weird that he felt like this was necessary.
Well, I think the frontside flip wouldn't have stood on his own, but like
No,
but
that's true.
a kickflip nose manual is kind of like a cool something you can do quickly and then go into the throw down on the frontside flip.
Yeah, I'm just like I think the shock of seeing like 7 milk crates and like 4 pallets for a
Uh-huh.
kickflip nose manual personally sort of like made me not even see how good the frontside flip was. But
That's why we're here to reconsider it.
yeah, right. Okay. All right.
Gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Look, this is a real spot. Half
This-
cab heel flip up the 3 stairs, Belmont or whatever.
Wow.
And then back heel
What the
perfection.
fuck is on his head?
Oh yeah, okay. Like here, yeah, I talked
What
about this before,
is
but like
this thing, dude?
it's this is 2005. Like newsboy caps and something. He might be a little bit on some Kenny Reed shit right here.
Wow, that it it's bad if it looks bad from fisheye angle too. If it's like the smallest part of his body because it's like at the top of the frame, yet it is still the most fucking distracting part.
Yeah, it's true. I can forgive a lot, but I won't forgive that hat.
Wow, you can tell like how long ago this was because there are like now this spot. I don't know if they've redone it, but last time I saw this spot, the bottom of this stair set is so fucking haggard. So many wheel holes down there.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
even think it's like possible to roll away anymore. Oh my
Okay.
god.
right. So that was so sick. Oh, look at that hat, dude. Okay, here's the thing. So
Uh-huh.
I think that he's laying out like a premise here. He's saying, "Oh, did you not like the way that those pallets and crates looked artificially stacked on that very clear fake manual pad? Like, fine, I'll disguise it. Like, here's the backdrop. Here are the ledges. The ledges match with the backdrop. I make no bones about the fact of this being a fake spot, but like at least it doesn't like detract from."
So you think that there's not deception involved with this. You think that he is doing the audience a favor and being like, I am making this easier on your eyes.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I think that the disclaimer in the beginning saying I only had a year to film this part. Some parts like this would take most people like 3 years battling with security, going on trips to fucking Barcelona, to X, Y, and Z. Like I had this time. It's mostly filmed at night. It's mostly like lit up spots, and it's mostly spots that I had to build so that I could skate it uninterrupted to get this shit done. And I think we owe him like gratitude.
Really? You think that he is owed gratitude for that?
Yes, yeah, I do, because I think we can continue on, but yeah.
What I notice about this is how similar this is to all of like especially the early days of the barracks, how similar this video part format is to like the way that they would light up the barracks and sort of skate the barracks. It's almost like it's like the same thing, and I never really, I guess, thought about whose, you know, artistic direction all of those Tricopedias and battle commanders were, but obviously that was like very Steve Berra
Yeah.
influenced stuff.
Or it's I think it's Colin Kennedy that did this video, but it's whoever he's working with. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, it's not as if these guys don't know that skate park footage looks shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like with a place like the barracks, they're going to do what they can to make it look as good as possible
Yeah.
with what they have.
Right.
And I don't really believe that he's like taking the sort of ethos of Hollywood and the studio produced film like into skateboarding in the way that a lot of people do. But I do think that there's something to learn from that, which is you can make a lot with just a little, with a little bit of scenographic, like,
Right.
yeah.
Just toss some lights up and make the rest of the park dark kind of
Or
thing.
yeah, or put some obviously fake bricks on your wooden ledge. But this would have looked so much shittier if it were just a wooden ledge, you know, with a black angle iron.
I guess. I mean, I suppose it really comes down to, you know, what you think his intentions were. It seems like, you know, you think that it's coming from like a good place versus I think what most people think, which is that this is coming from a place of like legitimately trying to make somebody think that this is a street spot. But then if that's, you know, if that's the take, then it's also like you're kind of accusing Steve of being an idiot if
Right.
if that's
Right.
what you think. And
Yeah.
that's what I've thought in the past, because there are plenty of things that Steve has said that have made me think that he is kind of an idiot. But
Right. Yeah,
it's like, is he an idiot or is he just a little unhinged?
I think he's like, I think he is. I don't think he's either of those things. I mean, he comes across. Allows a side of himself to be shown that most skaters, most professional skaters, would not show, but
Yeah.
most people feel. You know, like I think he's like maybe unfiltered in a way that a lot of skaters are like super filtered.
You don't think Steve Berra's like a little wobbly? Because I definitely think that. I mean, I'm not trying to plant ideas in your head, but I would be shocked if like Steve Berra doesn't come across as an unstable person to you. Not that I'm trying to like get into his personality and like make him seem like a, you know, a dangerous person or some shit. I'm just like, from my interactions with him and like from what I have seen over the years, he seems like, you know, he seems fucking manic.
I mean, I think there might be that aspect, but I don't think he's that different from most professional skateboarders. I think that what makes him interesting and unique is that he actually like is out there.
Right. He's
Kind of
willing
in
to
the
say
trenches.
it.
Yeah,
Whatever he's thinking.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. All right.
This is I mean, that kickflip back tail was sick. This is
Right.
yeah, I mean, those are perfect tricks.
They are on perfect ledges, yes. But he
Well,
is
like, why-
really good. He is
Yeah.
really good also.
But this whole thing, okay, so part of it is like, why do our skaters have to be? Yeah, that hat sucks.
So why do our skaters have to what?
Why do they have to be these like law-breaking outlaws?
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
Like we sort of acknowledge that like it's a nightmare to film parts, and especially when you're like out, like you're getting kicked out and blah blah. Like that's why these parts take like years to film.
Right.
And-
Also, the spots themselves, like, there's a massive difference between something that is created for skateboarding versus something that you have to, like, turn into a skate spot. Like, if this were real, there would probably be a crack right here and maybe another crack right here and something either in the way when you're rolling up, and it wouldn't be smooth concrete like this, or there would be something in the way when you land. And even if it's not directly in the way, it's like, hey, you know what, if I fall 3 feet to the side, my head's going to hit a fucking fire hydrant, and that would really suck. So those sort of things, like, you know, obviously they play a factor.
This is also in the era of Barcelona. Like this is in the era where like every American pro is going to Barcelona and skating the same 4 fucking spots, and those are basically perfect spots that like you don't get kicked out of, that you can just stack clips and chomp like gaps and rails for like 3 weeks and come away with a part. And he's like, I mean, there's some quote where he defends himself, and he's just like, I'm not going to go to the same 4 spots in Barcelona that everyone loves to see in a fucking million videos and do those things there. Like, runs a business. He's a dad. He's doing all these things. Like, and he's a fucking, it's his
Well,
job to make a part. It's not his job to make art. It's not his job to like make us want to like break the law. You know?
no, I mean, it's not his job to do that. But I think, from my perspective, the thing that's kind of like questionable about it is if you're going to construct like obstacles that resemble street stuff, in my opinion, it would be, if that's what you're going to do, and if your take is that he's not being deceptive about it, that's not his intention, then why not just build something fucking insane? Like the same things that like when people are grinding, who was the dude who was grinding all the signs, like the Blockbuster signs and stuff, and using the kicker ramp to get up there and that kind of shit?
Like Jeremy, it was Jeremy Klein.
It was Jeremy Klein. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you're, because this is why I think what he does is kind of questionable. It's like if you weren't trying to be deceptive about it and you were like, I'm just building spots, like I would build some spots that are interesting. Like this isn't really an interesting spot. The only thing that's interesting about this is that like he fucked up on the railing where it doesn't descend,
I agree with you there. Like there's a matter of aesthetics, sure. And
okay.
And this is like, and with that hat,
dude, he looks like he's in a fucking Payless ad.
Yeah, this is not his finest moment.
This is funny. That is so fucking bad. There's like been so few points in time where your hat is allowed to go at that angle. You know what I mean? There's
but I will say 2003 to 2005 was one of those points. I wouldn't say that hat, and it definitely hasn't aged well. But boy, oh boy, that's a
so
doozy.
Funny. Oh my god.
Yeah. Sick, right?
Well, is he just in the barracks right here?
Yeah, but he's got a little kind of rustic looking manual pad.
I like the trash can in the background, and then there's a sign.
Yeah.
There's a sign over there.
A sign askew. Yeah.
Yeah. What? Okay. Oh, it's like... Okay, so there's no way that he would think that anybody would think that this is supposed to be real, right? I mean, we can agree on that. Okay.
But he got someone to like lay the grout and the tiles on the side of that manual pad, and like,
right.
It just looks a little bit better.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess it looks better.
It does not like take away from the difficulty. And I would say
I don't think that's I can't agree with that, because if he were to because you said it yourself, if he were to go out and actually film all this stuff because of all the external factors, then it would take longer to film.
Right. But like that wasn't the option. He had a deadline. Like, he's obviously not the star of the video, and he's had legitimate street parts before. His foundation like Rolling Thunder part in 1995, his like Birdhouse shit, like he has skated real spots and sacrificed his body and his livelihood for this shit. Right. Like I'm sure he filmed. If it took him a year to film this thing, that's still a remarkable accomplishment, even at a private skate park and even at like even under artificial conditions. Like I think for him, it's like, here are the tricks that like are challenging and cool looking. This is where I'm going to do them. And this, there's obviously a compromise, but he leads with that. He doesn't like say like, I'm out here in these streets. He says, I had a fucking
He didn't pull a Joey Brzezinski.
Yeah, exactly.
We out here in these streets, pussy. Where are you, Jason Dill?
Yeah.
No, I mean, if anything, like about this video part, especially like from my perspective of being somebody who has to like, it's, things aren't that fun if you're just going to look for what is wrong with everything in life, and then that's like your brand of how you view things. And so like, even though there's arguments on either side about something like this, at the end of the day, I think everyone is glad that this exists.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you not want this piece of skateboard media to exist? Because it's like, it's pretty fascinating. Um,
Right. No, that's why I think it's such an interesting moment because I think this is like okay, this happened in 2005 and nobody liked this part. Like I was at the fucking DVS premiere in New York for this video and like he was in the crowd and people were looking at him and booing him.
no way they were.
Yeah. And it's like I didn't go that far because I was actually kind of a I'll admit, like I was sort of a Berra fan in the '90s. Like I liked the way he skated. I liked his attitude. Like he didn't drink or do drugs. I thought that was sick.
Hmm.
Um, but like later on, I sort of thought about it, and I sort of, you know,
That turned out to be a symptom of something else.
well, then all of a sudden, like within a couple of years, you have the barracks, and you have like it being a web phenomenon, and
Hmm.
you have this sort of skating. Actually, even though no one will admit it, this is the sort of shit that we like to watch. We like are more prone to like watching some idiot skate a fucking skate park on Instagram than we are like a, like a chocolate tour video, you know, like or whatever. Like we like
I gotta say, there was a time for me where I did enjoy did enjoy watching the skateboarding, but like at this point, and maybe it's who it is, and like the fact that the barracks is kind of like sort of unpleasant to me now. But there was a time where I really enjoyed watching this type of skateboarding. Like it was like Berra definitely figured out like a way of packaging skateboarding differently. And I think all the, Instagram like skate park clips and stuff, that's all really cool too. I still don't think that I think there is definitely some, I don't want to say lying, but I think that people aren't totally, I agree with you. I think people aren't totally upfront about what they like. Like I think the people who say that, don't post your shit on Instagram, like don't even like film yourself skating park. I think those people aren't really being honest with themselves about what they like watching. I think that if everybody stopped posting their park footage on Instagram, that would kind of suck. I think
yeah
everybody would be like kind of bummed, and you'd be like, well, why not? Like it's fun. Skating
yeah
doesn't have to be like applying like pro standards onto regular skateboarders and stuff. And I'm not even of the mind that if you're pro, you shouldn't film yourself in the park. I think that, that doesn't make any sense. But I think that like for casuals and stuff, acting like everybody has to be some super hardcore skater just doesn't make any sense to me.
right. But so then where's this? How is this people's like responses to this video part and to Berra in general reflects this weird hypocritical double standard because it's like he is sort of just saying like I have to film this part. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what you expect of me. This is my fucking job. I could easily not do this, but this is what I'm doing. And it's like never been a part like this filmed. But there were precedents, like Jason Dill's Mosaic part. Like half the part is filmed like at a DI, like at a foundation in downtown LA
Right.
with a picnic table that got dragged there, a fucking curved metal bench that got brought from somewhere else, and like a artificial bump to bar.
Well,
You
that's
know?
another like something that I've like, I've talked about in the past, and I think is a pretty fascinating part of skateboarding, and what you're allowed to put in a part and what you're not allowed to put in a part is like, DIYs are like very questionable, I would say. And usually if somebody does use a DIY clip, it's only like one or two clips in their part.
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
it's like whatever, like somebody wants to get an extra techie trick on a ledge or something. But to me, like the ones that is like considered really legit but doesn't really make that much sense is like schoolyard footage, where you can just
right.
drag the table around and put it wherever you want. Like even though those are all like, found objects or whatever, you can still kind of like, there are plenty of resources in like a LA schoolyard to pretty much make whatever you want.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. And Day One would be the like sort of premier exemplar of like the person who did the most with those configurations. And he even kind of drew back after a while of from like stacking tables and setting them up as bumps, like
Yeah.
for a while he like went overboard.
I think
Um
I think though that like, somebody like Day One skating though, or even like, Rodney skating, and like because Rodney would do a lot of stuff like that too. Um,
yeah.
is that those guys were doing such ridiculously technical tricks,
Right.
that I think that like that made it feel a lot more normal to me. If somebody was just doing kickflip, backtail, shove it on
Mm-hmm.
something like that, then I wouldn't see a reason. Like it wouldn't make as much sense. But if you're setting up like bench, 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 and you're doing fakie manual, fakie manual, fakie manual, you're like doing tricks that it would be totally unreasonable to assume that you would be able to find a street spot that would allow you to do something like that. Then
Yeah.
that makes more sense to me.
All right, so then to kind of follow your point, and maybe this is part of the critique with Berra, is that you're sort of saying, especially with these manual tricks, I think they're sick, but like these are the sort of things that could be done at a regular street spot
Yeah.
and wouldn't be that much more remarkable.
Absolutely. And that's the same thing that I'm talking about with the bump to bar. It's like it's not exactly sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to find one that's going to look like that, but it's not the most uncommon thing to find a bump to bar or a manual pad for that matter. Hang on.
All
Let
right.
me give my
Yeah.
dog a treat because
She's tripping. Because there's another point I want to make here too, which is like that was nice. He has a beautiful half cab flip. Got the hat on indoors for that one.
Yeah. I feel like these tricks aren't that. I mean, I don't know what the standard was, I guess, for manuals, but like a half cab manual backside flip is like, I don't feel like that's super difficult.
I mean,
He does it good, but
it's not like the gnarliest manual trick anyone would do in 2005, but it's like it's pretty good for someone with his background who's skating. I mean, I think he's probably past his prime at this point, and it's like, yeah,
okay.
this is a real spot.
Yes.
This is La Cañada. He lands so solid. And so the other thing, I mean, whatever, he's a pro, he's supposed to, but that was nice, right? Like that was a good sequence of tricks.
And we're back.
And we're back. Another kicky back T shove. Speaking of
Whoa.
fakie flip. Now,
Okay. I like that one.
Why did you like that?
Because of this, I'm always like looking at how people orient themselves and turn around while they're like doing different pushes. That's something about skateboarding that I don't think people talk a lot about.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think that's really interesting. This like body varial like switch Mongo push thing that he does.
And then notice one push and then that fakie flip. And this is actually one of the things that I think is really brilliant about the way that this dude skates. Is it's never about the tricks individually. It's about a sequence of tricks that make sense and like look cool together. And he always does like a rather quick setup.
Right.
So again, like kickflip back tail shove, one push to turn around.
So he's doing with this. He's doing. Wait.
He pushes with his back foot, but he turns around so that he's going fakie.
I'm trying to understand. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
which is okay to do because you've shoveted your board.
No, I'm not saying that this isn't okay. I'm just like I never see this. Like push, like putting your foot down and then also, putting your back foot to the back or your front foot to the back of the board at the same time.
Yeah. Board is in fakie position now.
I think that this would have looked bad if he wasn't going so fast and he wasn't so fucking good at doing whatever this maneuver is.
Yeah. And then again, that's not a real set of stairs,
No.
but it's still like a hefty set of stairs to fakie flip with a one push, line or whatever.
Sure. I mean,
and
it's a really good skate park clip.
Right, but one of the things that separates skate park clips from or skate park skating from regular skating is that there's always going to be an obstacle for you to hit, and you hit it within a relatively much shorter amount of space than you would a normal street spot. It has to be a really special street spot where you can skate one end of the ledge and the other end of the ledge in the same clip. Usually you have to turn a corner and push a few more times and ollie up a curb and do this. And so he's set all these obstacles up so that he can do these kind of cool combinations.
Mm-hmm. So you're thinking that this is even though the tricks themselves aren't exactly standouts or superstar tricks or whatever. Like the sequences are what justifies it to you.
Yeah, and I think he's uniquely like he has street parts where he like he's so quick-footed and lands everything so perfectly, and he can do like a 5-trick line in the space that would take most people do like one trick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty. I think that's what's special about the way they skate street.
Okay, all right.
Look at this, like feeble whatever, back
In the
360
back
right
three,
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like this ramp.
I know the bumper.
That is so fucking funny.
Yeah, like also just like the fact that the rail on the top does not exactly match the height of the pre-existing
Right.
natural rail on the side. But
Well, I would be fascinated. Like, what was his process for this? Did he take a photo of the spot and then go to Home Depot and like talk to the paint guy and be like, "I need you to paint match this for me"? Because
let's give him like more credit. Let's give him full credit. One, yes, measures the spot so that the ramp goes exactly up to the loading dock. Two, like gets the dimensions of those bumpers.
Yeah.
So that you can add a fake bumper to the side of that bump. Three.
Well, where do you even fucking get that? Where do you even go and get a bumper? Like, we're at the point now where I'm like, would it not have just been easier to fucking go skate a spot?
Yeah, I think in this case, like that bumper is just like a piece of plywood.
Oh, you just think it's okay.
Yeah, they just made a box. But okay, so he's not done yet. So like he's also, let's just give him credit for like matching his striped shirt to the spot and to those like that window behind him.
He's really an artistic genius.
Yeah, it's called art direction 101.
I know that you always say that skateboarding's not an art or whatever, but would you say that this is closer than the average video part?
I'd say this is art direction. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Good design.
All right.
And again, it's like there's not much space to that backside 360, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it's cool.
I think this was okay. I think it's like I definitely can see what you're saying about like, the sort of quick foot bang bang type of thing going on here. It is though a backside feeble out of a bump to bar.
Yeah,
so it's like
I will acknowledge that backside feebles were not cool in 2005 either.
Yeah, I mean, I like backside feebles, but I don't know. Backside feeble, like the combination of things going on, like backside feeble to backside 360 on fake spot. Like I'm listening to your points, but then I'm also like, this wasn't as dope as I think it was supposed to be, or whatever.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's not. This isn't the closer. This isn't his ender.
Okay.
It's just mid part.
Mid part. Fine, fair enough.
The mayonnaise in the sandwich. No one likes the mayonnaise. Nice frontside nose though.
For the sixth time, by the way, we're at this this bank too. Different angle though, so kind of trying to shake things up at the same fucking spot. But yeah.
Yeah, you work with what you got.
Yeah, it was good. Sign skating.
Yeah.
Like what I had asked for. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, so look at this spot. It's a box with like, as far as I know, Allstate like stenciled on.
That's weird.
It's also a beautiful backside tailslide shove it.
Yes. On not a real sign.
No.
That is actually, when you look at it, it seems like exceedingly obvious that it's not real. Like, because, I don't even think signs are really like first of all, they're not like on the ground like that.
Exactly. Who would see that sign?
Yeah, right. It's like the viewing angles on that are a fucking disaster. But it's all just like a piece of wood. It's not even like a light up sign or anything. But it is. Well, what do you think about this one then? Because this to me, like, okay, so you talked about how some people think that it's like like some Hollywood type of fake like almost like
Hmm.
a street part that's like a movie type of a thing. Like some people think about it that way, but you said that you didn't.
Right.
Because this is like what I'm looking at right here is a prop.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
this is a prop. Yeah, it's a prop for skating. Might fool some people, but I think the idea is just that it's like it just looks better than a box. It looks better than a white thing.
Hmm.
It's a white and
Okay.
blue thing.
It is
I
all
wonder
right.
also, hey, maybe he got a cut. Maybe Allstate was like, fuck yeah, like we'll pay for this thing.
Yeah, I seriously I
Well, you know how
seriously doubt it.
at the barracks there are like big old like the signage of the advertisers who sponsor the place has now been incorporated into the mise en scène of the warehouse backdrop.
You
Like,
know what? If we're gonna allow another corporate business partner into the space of skateboarding, it might as well be fucking insurance, man.
yeah, because there's
Uh,
one thing that skaters don't have. It's that. Yeah.
that's why I was so stoked on the Deshaun Jordan getting sponsored by Essentia. I was like, yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys wouldn't kill them to drink more water. Imagine if they were drinking water and they were insured.
Yeah.
Just
That'd be
all-star lineup of sponsors, Allstate and Essentia. All right.
back lip.
Oh, we're
Huh.
here again. Ooh, that
Yeah.
that fakie flip was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty nice, I gotta say. Yeah, it was good.
It was good. Okay, these are fake benches, yes, but that's real. That's a real full cab.
I'm noticing definitely a trend here, which is that he likes to hit a ledge and then or a rail, and then he likes to jump down something.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely something calculated, or there's obviously something calculated about this whole part. Like, he likes these two trick combos,
And he
right?
does a lot of back tail.
Which is why I like this part.
Right. He does a lot of back tail and then fakey stuff. I'm not seeing an incredibly diverse portfolio of moves, but I'm just an
You're,
observation.
yeah, you're also looking at this from from the future as far
Right.
as this part is concerned.
Fair enough. Very fair. And I, like, for the record, I appreciate your perspective on this because if it was just me in this echoey room, it would just be my voice bouncing off going, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. So to have you like anchoring me a little bit and like, making me see a different perspective in this is good. And I think it'll be good for everybody that watches this too because, Steve Berra has like he brings a lot of it upon himself for sure, but I do think that skateboarders a lot of time are like a little too eager for it,
Yeah. Well, I think also just a lot of people who have strong opinions or have any opinion about Berra now know him as the guy from the barracks and not like the
Right.
guy that was pro for 15 years before the barracks. That
Yeah.
and that kind of came up through the ranks of like one. I think something about his biography is like he like sort of grew up like in the Midwest. Like he didn't grow up in Hollywood or anything like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
he became like a sponsored am and professional at a time when skateboarding was fucking dead.
Right.
And his peers are like people like Keith Kirchart, Jason Dill, Rob Deerdick, and Eric Costin. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like some of these people are like underground legends that like represent like the core values of skateboarding that we hold so high, and other people are sort of seen as like jokes or like weird financial success stories or something. And I think that he's sort of cut his own,
Yeah.
like carved his own lane and remained remarkably consistent to that like kind of like you can see he skates the same way in 1995 that he skates here. He's just skating bigger, and that model of like doing the same tricks, just doing them faster, higher, and better with
Mm-hmm.
each part is like something that people don't really appreciate about the long story of someone's skate part
Yeah,
or
sure.
skate career.
And yeah, that's like I like that you bring up the fact that a lot of people that have opinions about Steve Berra, myself included, were not really privy to a lot of why he's even in the position that he's in right now. Skateboarders, because we all are skateboarders, we all care about skateboarding, a massive part of how we view people is what they do on their skateboard and what they look like on their skateboard. So, people are willing to excuse a lot of things, and maybe, this isn't always a good thing, but people are willing to excuse a lot of things that skateboarders do based off of, the fact that they like the way that they skateboard.
Yeah, and I just think it's like he was smart enough to sort of see the writing on the wall in certain points in his career.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, like the underground legends that we all fucking fan out on Instagram are car mechanics and fucking Uber drivers now. Like when we see these clips of these dudes ripping in the 90s, we're like, whoa, whatever happened to them? It's like they couldn't, there was no industry to sustain them. Like
Right.
what Berra did was like he kind of created his own industry. He like
Mm-hmm.
made a place for him and his friends to skate. He made like that footage seem desirable. If we judge people on like not so much like how they make skateboarding look, like if it makes us feel cool to be part of this thing, but actually like this is how they express their devotion to skateboarding, I think we can be a little more compassionate and appreciative of someone like Berra.
Sure.
Again, and I'm not saying like he's obviously not my favorite skater.
No. But it is like you are making good points about what many people perceive to be a naughty boy.
He can be not. We can all be naughty.
Steve Bear is definitely naughty, but you like skateboarding is a fucking brutal industry, especially like earlier on. I mean, it's like for somebody like Steve Berra, like what you're mentioning, like a lot of those guys are, driving taxi services and shit now. And even if it's like not what everybody deems to be cool and deems to be, core or whatever. And I spent initially I spent a good, amount of time sort of harping on what I disagreed with what Steve does. I've always deep down respected Steve Berra because even if he does shit in a way that I think is whack or it's corny or something, I know no matter what I say or what anybody else says, he's going to keep doing what he thinks is best.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Like because it's clearly it's working for him. I don't know how long this Cariuma thing is going to last, honestly, because, they're not getting and Steve is like I think in charge of the skateboarding sector of that. They're pouring so much money into it, but it's an opportunity like that where they're going with this like next gen business model or whatever, and I'm sure Steve like thinks it's a great idea or whatever. If nothing else, it's like it's a good career move for him, and it seems like he is willing to put himself first in a lot of situations.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of look at that Carioma thing as like, have you seen Boogie Nights?
Yes.
When like the like
rare time I say yes to something.
I know, I appreciate
my
that.
mom made me watch it and she fell asleep.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Well, okay, so that part like in 1980 where it's like all of the porn stars of like Dirk Diggler and like all the like Roller Girl, they're all like, those are the 70s porn stars that are kind of trying to make like art and cinema. And then the 80s comes in and it's video and it's amateurs and it's kids. Like Cariuma are those kids. They're like the low budget, like they didn't come up through the ranks of like the golden age of porn or the golden age of skateboarding. And there was this older guy that was like the colonel, and Steve Berra is like the colonel for Cariuma because he is undeniably a core professional skateboarder. He is someone who came up through those ranks, and he is someone who, like, as far as I'm concerned, changed skateboarding and sustained skateboarding and sort of changed the way that we think about skateboarding now because of like the huge impact of the barracks. I don't love Cariuma. I don't give a shit about those shoes. I'm never going to fucking wear them. I'm never going to see them, but like, it's like the writing's on the wall. You're seeing the popularity of these skateboarders on Instagram who have no real pedigree in core skateboarding, and there's obviously a lot of money to be made and a lot of money to like.
It seems that way. I guess I'm kind of I'm a little skeptical that it's going to translate or that it's going to pan out, but we'll see. I guess.
Chill.
Yeah. It's
nice.
what I'm like surprised is there's not a lot of spots. Like he's skating the same shit again and again.
Which is like right, because I think again, like you sort of can only he's trying to film this thing and pump this footage out like by the deadline. Ooh, that frontside flip, so nice. Reynolds like. That's a real spot. That was cool. That was a fully legitimate line. Ooh, half cab heel crooks. Very sick.
We're back with the Allstate sign.
Nice switch, crooks. I'm like this. It's like I'm being a bully. I'm like, wasn't that a nice switch, crooks?
Yeah, I know. You're like you like this. This is good.
We're watching sports and like I'm rooting for the opposing team. I'm like, that was a great goal, wasn't it? Whatever, you know, it's fine.
Got some paint on his pants here from probably constructing some bank, matching the paint.
Yeah, I remember seeing that and just being like, God damn it! Like when there's even like a bump up the stairs on that last one. Now who gives a shit? Sure, it's a giant. Yeah, it's a giant gap to like a 3-stair height.
Yeah,
2-stair. That is a gorgeous backside flip. Nice switch flip for vert skating.
That was cool. That looked like a real spot, kind of, I think.
At this point, who even knows?
I don't think that he could have faked this unless he moved it there.
Or maybe just threw some angle iron on the top of it. But it's like, you know, metal is metal.
Yeah. There's like, that's like the 9th trick on that spot.
Yeah.
Oh, no deliveries.
This one is so insane. So this is where it gets fucking psycho, right? Like I will acknowledge that like you said, like everyone's a little bit unhinged. This is where he crossed a line here because this makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, this is completely ridiculous. Like the stairs just lead into this ledge.
A no delivery sign. Yeah, like the stairs continue up.
It is. Yeah. It's pretty hilarious. I wonder if he put all those boxes back there too.
But
it's a nice trick.
Yeah. Kicky front board. Kicky front nose.
This is just the most ridiculous looking rail.
Yeah, that's that same set that he like fakey flipped and nollie heeled and all that.
Look how low it is.
Yeah, well, you know, he just came out of ankle surgery.
What is this, a handrail for ants? My favorite joke at the moment. Was that the banger?
Yeah, I think so. That's, you know, okay,
yeah,
so.
All right, that was that.
Yeah.
That felt really kind of anticlimactic. Like there was a little fast-paced section, but I guess that it just felt like he was skating the same 5 spots the whole time.
Yeah.
If you can call them spots.
Yeah, well, I think he was, by and large, skating the same 5 spots the whole time because he, as he acknowledges and as he establishes in the beginning, didn't have a lot of time to finish this part, was like working against like whatever, like he was an injury, blah, blah. And it's just like, I see this as a very honest part. And I think that a lot of people's objections came from this very toxic way of like expecting our pros to fucking sacrifice their lives for us in the name of like keeping it real.
Right.
He's not filming an ender. He knew he didn't have the last part. You know, he's contractually obligated to film a part, you know?
Yeah.
It's his job as a fucking professional skateboarder. He's doing his job. He's using the resources that he has, which might be a little bit more than a lot of people. But it's like, you know, I'm sure some of those tricks were filmed at like 3 a.m., you know, after a long work day and shit. And like knowing the backstory may not enhance like the aesthetic enjoyment of the part. Like you can totally disagree with like the ethics of it or whatever, but I still think like what he does is demystify the shit that you have to go through to be a professional skateboarder.
No, you're making great points. You're making great points. There's that classic Onion article or whatever that's like the worst guy you know just made a great point, but it's like somebody made a great point about the worst guy you know type of a thing.
Yeah.
But
right. Well, you can
I,
hit me back with however your mother.
yeah, however your mom. I'm thinking about this. I like your read on the situation. And I think that there's so few things in skateboarding, to me it feels like, where you can have like a part will just inspire so many different conversations and so many different opinions. And as somebody who, as I guess, as people, you and I, who are kind of in the opinion business, um, this is a valuable piece of media. And at the end of the day, I look a lot of this stuff, and my like main takeaway is like, is it better that this like exists or like doesn't exist? Like, would it be better if you were to ask somebody who hated this part? Would it be like, well, would you prefer that he had no part at all? Would you prefer that there was like that he just wasn't even in the video?
Well, I think we just need to maybe I acknowledge that skateboarding did become, as hated as that part was, it was influential in ways that we couldn't have seen then, but like are so obvious now.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
impacted the way that like we consumed media on the barracks. It impacted the way in which like certain types of videos. Like this is right around the era. This is one of the last kind of eras where this is before there were web release parts, but
Mm-hmm.
in some ways it kind of like follows that formula of the web release part of the sort, like the battle commander on the barracks or whatever, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And that changed the way that videos were consumed and what we expected from videos. It's like it's similar to like people making music and releasing it as singles only or mp3s rather than like full albums. I
Mm-hmm.
know I sound like a fucking
No,
boomer, but
no,
you know what
no,
I'm
no, you're
saying.
good.
Like
Yeah.
um I think that in 2005, this was a very forward looking part. It was by no means like the best part in the video. It was by no means Berra's best part, but I think it was polarizing for the wrong reasons. And I think people
Sure.
hated on it for the wrong reasons. And I think those reasons have to do with like, I don't know, like a weird like toxic coolness. Like it wasn't,
Yeah.
this is not a cool part. He's wearing
Right.
that fucking dorky hat. He's skating
Well,
fake spots, but
that's
it's like,
that's my thing with this, and that's where I would say that, in my opinion, I think the problem with this part at times is that it's kind of like in a weird in between area, and it leaves itself like really up for interpretation. Whereas if I were going to make a part and I knew that I was going to like modify and sort of create fake spots, I would have like leaned more into like making fucking fake signs and stuff. Like I would have
yeah,
just I would have gone the absurd route, because I think when you try to like, what you're saying, when you try to make it look more believable or you try to make it look more aesthetically pleasing, I think it's only reasonable to assume that a lot of people are going to think that you're coming at that from an angle that is about deceiving somebody. So
right.
just if I were to do a part where I were to do a bunch of really fake shit, then
You,
I that's what I would go with.
you'd go full fancy lad.
100%, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
because then you're just like, this is what I'm fucking doing. And
Yeah.
I see that you believe that Berra was being kind of upfront about that, but I'm not surprised that like a lot of people don't have that same takeaway from it.
Yeah, yeah, me neither. But I just think that like I don't expect anyone to come away like agreeing with me and like having Bear be their favorite skater or whatever. But I just think that it's like, to me it shows something. If we look past like that, he's skating the fake spots and understand why he
Right.
constructed these spots, and then sort of, and just like, yeah, those combos that he does are cool, and like it's a passable part that should have just gone under the radar
Hmm.
in 2005, and instead it's been this sort of like, at least for certain people in my generation, like a rallying cry, like this was fake, this doesn't count. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of bullshit, because I think that behind that attitude is this expectations that our pros should be like badasses that like break legs and go to jail and fucking, all this
Right.
shit. It's just like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that whole mentality could definitely um get dialed back a little bit, because you don't want anybody. I don't want anybody to like. Obviously, you're gonna get hurt skateboarding, but it's like I've never thought that that was like a fucking prerequisite or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's more like this is their job. A lot of these skaters have sort of lost their love for skating, the joy of like skating that people like you and me and like
right.
most skaters like get from skating every day.
Yeah.
Skating average spots, skating skate parks, skating their fucking parking lot or driveway
Yeah.
every day. Like that's the sort of shit we like to do. Like pros don't live in that world, and we should stop expecting them to be doing shit for joy. They have to they get photo incentive. They have to think about what they wear. They have to think about the sort of things they skate and how it compares to every other pro,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Whenever something's your job, obviously, like you're gonna fucking. It comes with a whole other set of problems that weren't there before.
right. And so I
Yeah.
think that Berra came up with a unique solution to that set of challenges. And
Now
we
I'm looking at this day one thing, and I'm like, this spot doesn't even look real. This looks like one of the like it looks like a fucking skate park ledge.
it does.
Um,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. You got anything else you want to say about this?
no, thank you for hearing me out. This was
No,
fun.
that was an illuminating hour. I think that was really good.
Big hot take, steaming hot take.
I think it was hot. Your takes were hot in the sense that they're kind of like not the popular narrative, but I certainly don't think that you were being unreasonable.
Cool. Good.
All right.
All right.
Everybody say thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.